1, 2. Ah, there we go. We've got a microphone. Ah, there we go. We've got game sound as well. Welcome to Simufur. Apologies for that delay in the audio. We'll have that fixed by 1, 2. Ah, there we go. We've got a microphone. Thank you very much all for joining in to the first live streamed Simufur GT3 season, the biggest season hosted by Simufur, and for the first time ever broadcasted live as well. Absolutely fantastic. We have got quite a packed grid for you tonight as we kick things off at Spa, a very well-known track to some of our drivers here. Some drivers relatively new to Spa, but they've had a week to practice, so they've had their time to get used to the track and enjoy. Hopefully we see some great racing from them tonight. Bear with me just a few minutes while we get things properly, officially, finally sorted, and then we'll join these guys and go racing. As you can see, a very colourful car on the track, returning in the Jaguar. It's Dip, or Dipping Sauce. Got a few people back today actually. We've got and we've also got some teams as well joining in, which is great to see. So as you can see, Dipping Sauce there on track in a beautifully coloured Jaguar, number 38, driving for Kvetch Motorsports. You can see it just on the back of his car there. Quite a few KM drivers or Kvetch Motorsports drivers turning up tonight. We're going to go with KM for short, but anyway, you've seen one of them there. We also have the team principal not here tonight, I don't think, but we have a few others as well. Nevertheless, let's try and find them all. So racing for KM, we've got Dip, who you can see on the screen now. Attic Racer, or we know him as Kevin, racing in the Bentley Continental GT again, car number 14. Back for some more in the Bentley. We wish him all the best. Scrolling back through here, we have back in the 660 Honda, not quite out yet for some practice, but it's Skylar Vixen. She started with us at the beginning of the year in Simufur. She was a brand new driver, and can tell you from personal experience watching her race, the confidence has grown in Skylar. So we are no doubt in for some good racing tonight. Who else is on the track that we can find that belongs to KM? We've had Dip, we've had Attic, we've had Skylar. Let's see, next person. It's sat in the pits, but it's the 141 Lexus of Eris. Eris, brand new to us for this season, and new to Simufur overall, so we hope it has a great time at Spa tonight. Suddenly yellow flags popping up all over the place on the broadcast, so I don't think that's... well, hopefully that's not something we need to be concerned with. Anyway, car number 141 in the Lexus is Eris, and it wasn't sure whether or not it was going to turn up in the Lexus originally. It did some laps and then felt unsure, but it's made the decision to be here tonight in the 141 Lexus, representing Kvetch Motorsports, or KM as well. So fantastic to see that we have another new driver on our track, and we hope it has all the best time at Spa and for the other 5 races afterwards. So there we go. We have Eris, Skylar, Attic Racer, and Dip so far. Scrolling down the list of drivers here, who else have we got in KM that we can find? I believe. Oh, there she is. I thought so. The team principal in the 604 Honda is Sarah Stant. So Sarah started KM shortly after I believe it was shortly after the AM Championship that was hosted by Fez Fox and Hemi Husky earlier in the year. That was broadcasted live as well. You can watch that back on YouTube if you want to. But here she is again, having turned up at the beginning of the year for GT3 Season 3. Brand new to, I believe she's just exited. I'm sure she'll be back. She's got a whole hour to do it in, so we'll come back to Sarah in a bit. But what we will say is that she started off in GT3 Season 3 at the beginning of the year, having become brand new to Simufur, brand new to Assetto Corsa Competizione, and brand new to the BMW M4 shortly after it was released. Bless her, she wasn't the most confident driver then, but since then she's done more sim racing events, she's done more events in Assetto Corsa on its own, and she's even gotten involved with a few races within Racing Club International. Shout out to the people at RCI for hosting all their events as well. Thank you very much for the Endurance World Challenge that I'm currently competing in myself. So we hope maybe some of RCI manage to catch this video as well and just see how Simufur do it for us. I'll get moving on some other drivers in a second, bear with me. Okay, so that's KM touched on so far. We also have other teams now, so we're going to go to team principal. There he is. Team principal of Blue E Motorsports, it's Suzuka Shark. Apologies, I did get that wrong. It is, I believe it's he and they for their pronouns. I will double check that, don't worry. However, number 10, Suzuka's number, racing in the Lamborghini Huracan, and they come in with a few teammates themselves. So we've got Suzuka, who's team principal. The 223 of Jasper is back again to compete in the GT3, racing under the Blue E tag, led by Suzuka. Also racing for Suzuka as well, back for another go at it, it's Wolfen, again in the Lamborghini Huracan. Sorry, just to point out there, Jasper is in the Ferrari. Hopefully Jasper does well in the Ferrari. I think it's a new car for him, but I'll double check that. So here we have Wolfen then coming back to him in the 529 Lamborghini Huracan. Same car as Suzuka, so I imagine there's been some collaboration there between the two drivers in setting up, driving the car at Spa, and getting used to it overall. So there we go, that's Suzuka, Wolfen, and Jasper for Blue E. Having said that, I have missed a driver actually for Kvetch Motorsports, KM. We all know him, we all love him. It's the 142 Aston Martin of Blade Wolf Kakakeo. Back again in the Aston Martin after having a brief period out of it to drive the Audi. He's certainly said since getting back in the V8 Aston, he's had a much better time and gotten used to the car again. The car itself has been sorted out, shall we say, with an update applied to ACC, whereas for a while it sort of, you could almost say it missed the mark, kind of, but it's back with a vengeance now, and if anyone knows how to drive it with a good setup, it's Blade Wolf. So we will watch Blade Wolf through Simufur, especially through this series, as they head off up Eau Rouge, very smoothly up Eau Rouge as well. and onto the Kemmel Straight down to Lacombe. Let's see, so far we've had Blue E, we've had Kvetch Motorsports come into a new team now, with a new team principal and a few new drivers as well. So here we are, another Jaguar on the grid, the number 54 Denak Tiger, representing TG or TIG Gang. He is here with two other teammates, charging on with the number 54, and a very relevant hashtag on the back of his car, I feel, and I'm sure many in Simufur would agree with that point with a vengeance. So there we go, the number 54 Jaguar is Denak, new to the AM class, joining Denak on the field with TG, having to scroll up, scroll up, scroll up. With TG, it is randomly number 73 Nissan GTR, representing TG group as well. You can see the stripes of TIG Gang on the side of that Nissan GTR there, and that is randomly. So hopefully he has great race today, new to the grids as well, and also supporting a very well-known hashtag on the side of his car, representing the TG Gang in good form. Next up in the TG group, and new to the Simufur grid relatively, is Anka, who recently got promoted to silver. Anka has turned up today in the BMW M4. Car number 40 he is. Been doing very well at Spa indeed since the practice servers opened, and since the servers opened in general he's found himself getting quicker and quicker and quicker, which is a great thing to see from any driver that's here practicing. So we hope that Anka can make up some good positions in race 1. Coming on to some new people on the grids, racing under national class now because they don't quite know where their pace is at Simufur at the moment, but that's alright. We aim to be open and diverse to all drivers and help them out where possible. Excuse me, that is a Telegram ping. I'll get rid of that shortly, but going on to national cars. Car number 89 in another Jaguar on the grid, it's Slowbird. Brand new to the Simufur grid, but has been in the Simufur Discord for quite a while. 89, a number that I used to race in before I changed to the 555, so it's good to see that number back on the grid. We wish Slowbird all the best at Spa today, and also with the rest of the season in general. Hopefully they have a lot of fun and can find themselves a class to be in. Let's see, who else have we got racing for the national class? Brand new, not necessarily new to Simufur, but brand new to the Simufur grid. Just trying to find him now. Oh, there he is. Car number 31 is an Audi. And the name is Telephones. So Telephones here is brand new to the Simufur grid. It says AM on the side of his car, but I think officially he races under the national tag at the moment, until we can find him a place. Whether or not it's AM Silver or Pro is yet to be determined. He's been on and off the practice servers every so often, so hopefully he's found himself a comfortable place to be at Spa. And then we move on to another national driver who's actually also with Blue E Motorsport, excuse me, I forgot to mention her. This is Renee. She's been looking at getting onto the ACC grid for a while now, and she's been able to find the time to join Simufur in car number 521. She races under her own team, MRT, but they are in collaboration with Blue E, I'm told, just to get some hints and tips. So welcome Renee to the grid. Hopefully she can do well today at Spa. She is also under the national class, waiting to be placed. So hopefully we can find a place for her here on the Simufur grid. Backed by popular, well, I'd say popular demand, but nobody's demanded him to be here, but we love him here anyway. It's Dat Sergo, racing under a different tag now in the Ferrari 176, racing under the RK9 flag, represented by Zar K9, who's not here tonight, but may make it for some other events. We can see him there going in the 176 for the AM class. From what we know of Dat Sergo, he's a very competent racer, very talented racer as well, and hopefully we can see just what he can do tonight at Spa and for the rest of the season. Back for another go at it, it's Bracken in car number 78 and a McLaren on track, the first McLaren I've come to. For some reason the livery for that one hasn't necessarily worked. Whether or not it's just a plain livery, I don't know. But hopefully Bracken can find his feet in the silver class with us today at Spa and have a great race and enjoy himself as well. That's what counts. Back for another go at it, it's Menos in car number 139, another McLaren. Livery, again, not quite loaded in properly there. I'm not 100% sure what happened, but hopefully we can sort that for you next week. Menos comes in under the Simufur tag, which contains himself, Fez Fox, who we'll get to shortly, and Nate, who we'll get to shortly as well. Where are they? There we go. So Fez Fox in car number 86, sporting the Simufur livery. Another McLaren on the track, Fez's favourite car, or most favourite car by all means. We hope Fez can do well as he takes on the 777 Oblivion again, who has come out in a Ferrari today. We saw the 777 on the side of a Bentley. Nope, on the side of the Porsche, excuse me, it was the last time we saw it on track. So hopefully Oblivion here can get some more out of the Ferrari. We'll find out. Scrolling a little bit down the grid here. Sat in the pits, it's car number 131, it's Nate. Nate is another driver for Simufur, or representing the Simufur team in back of the pack racing. There we go. Back of the pack racing, powered by Simufur. It's the 131 Lamborghini Huracan. We wish Nate all the best, and hopefully he can do his best to climb to the top of silver at the start of the race. Not at the start of the race, excuse me, at the end of the season. Back in a Lexus rather than a GTR or a Bentley or whatnot is the number 406 of Oraz Volpez. Silver class racer, races quite a lot with Simufur. Lexus is almost brand new for him, so it's Spa where he's had the first outings with it, apart from when he went on the open practice server. This was the car of his choice, and we wish him all the best in the Lexus, and hopefully he can score himself some decent points in Silver Championship. Another silver to come to, we see him again on track, it's Otto in the number 66 Audi. We haven't seen Otto in a series since Simufur GT3 Season 3 at the beginning of the year, I believe. So hopefully we can see what Otto can do in the Audi. I'm not sure that's what they were driving last time, but it seems that through the months everybody's almost picked a completely different car to be in, apart from some. So hopefully Otto can do well. Coming down to another team, Race Ventura, I believe they're in. It's Grim. Grim back in the Porsche, back in the 115 Porsche, which surprises me. I honestly thought he was coming in an Aston Martin, but nevertheless, he is back in the Porsche, racing under the silver flag this time round after being promoted from the AM Championship earlier in the year. Grim is one of the only drivers to be on a controller doing this, on a controller racing a Porsche for Simufur. It'll be very interesting to see where Grim ends up in the field. He was a very strong competitor in the AM Championship, so we wish him good luck. In a relatively new car, I'm not sure we've seen Snooty use this one before. It's the BMW M4 of car number 48. Here he is, sporting one of his favourite liveries on the Simufur grids. Snooty, currently a pro driver in the EWC for RCI as well, racing under the pro flag, or no, the AM Championship flag, in the same split as me actually, but definitely a winner, and hopefully we can see what he can do in the BMW 48s through the Simufur season. Back in again is the 62 of Joker racing in the Honda. He's had a little bit of a scuff there, but nevertheless it's all a learning curve. We wish all the best to Joker through the Simufur season, through the GT3 Season 4, and in general, why not? Cafe again comes in the number 21 Porsche, back for another season. I believe they were in the Porsche Cup, but don't quote me on that one. Back in the McLaren 650, not the 720, is Dolby, or Glendinning. We know him as Dolby here. Racing in Pro Class, the number 34, hoping that he can bring it on with the rest of the Pro grid. Much like all the other Pros are, really. Let's see who missed. Oh yeah, brand new to the Simufur grid. And the AM Championship is Geek. Geek chooses the number 41 Audi to come onto the Season 4 challenge with. We wish Geek all the best in the AM Championship, whether or not they're national or AM, I can't remember, but we wish him all the best in the championship. Hopefully he can get himself some good positions as we go on. Let's see, have we missed anyone? Yes, we have. Of course we have. My apologies to him. It's number 81, Josiah Whiskey. Back in the Mercedes-Benz. I believe he was in a Mercedes-Benz in the last season, so we'll see what he can do here. The Mercedes-Benz itself has had a little bit of a sorting out with some updates to ACC. It's become a very good car. Now, it used to be a little bit understeery from what I remember, and a bit of a handful, but ever since the update, it's certainly become a good competitive car to be in. And I believe she's back now as well. It's Sarah. Nope, so Sarah is driving a Honda, I thought so. But she has been driving the Mercedes for the RCI EWC that's currently going on as well. Nevertheless, as we were saying about Sarah before she disappeared briefly, she's gained a lot of confidence on the grid, and hopefully could bring the fight to the rest of the AM class. 100% brand new to the grids. Racing under the national flag at the moment is Ruby Kitsune, folks. We're going to call her Ruby for short. Car number 43, a McLaren 720. First championship, first main championship she's done with Simufur overall. She's been enjoying herself in the McLaren. She's been enjoying herself at Spa, so hopefully she can bring the noise into a championship before she gets placed in a class. Hopefully she can make herself known among all the drivers for being a competitive sport. Next RV driver in the 222 Aston Martin. Aston Martin this time is Seffi. Seffi was in the AM Championship and the GT3 Season 3 Championship earlier in the year, racing an RV with Grim. She's currently in the AM class at the moment. She'll be looking to see what she can do this time round after having a few more races after the GT3 earlier season for Simufur. Hopefully she can be competitive going into tonight. 20 minutes left of free practice before we go on to about half an hour's worth of qualifying, where we get to see all the classes become competitive on track and put in their absolute fastest laps. Now, if I have missed anyone on the track, I can promise you it's definitely not by choice. Excuse me, and it's fun to see everyone around. A lot of colourful liveries going on tonight. We have JPEG Fox in the Porsche 120. Very good, elegant livery going on. Simple but effective. And then we have some more of the, some more simple but effective, very nice green and blue Honda for Jinfulf there. As you can see from the side of his car, it represents the colours of his first owner. Some good, nice, simple ones there. Taylor's back for another go at this in the GTR, racing with what looks like the trans flag. Don't quote me on that one, I might be wrong. I will certainly be asking Taylor after the event to clarify which flag it is. But it's my kind of style of livery. The simple but effective livery is something that I always like to go for. But nevertheless, though, the people that put in the time to make the more complex liveries that really do shine out, like we can see on Snooty's car. As you can see, a lot of time and effort went into that one. As I said, one of his best. Not his best though. The best one for anyone that's watched Snooty race whenever he turns up to GT4. His Ginetta is absolutely world class. Maybe we'll get to see it on the Simufur cameras one day. Coming on to Jasper's as well. Starts off quite nice and simple, but goes into having like a little bit more of the brands there, his own character on the side of the car, but nevertheless it's a very nice, easy livery to look at. Then we've got Anko with a little bit more complexity to the back of his Jaguar. BMW, what is that? Excuse me, sorry. Very nice red on the front of the BMW there, and then a little bit more complexity on the back. Come to Attic now, or Kevin, and we see here that Kevin's livery for KM has actually been designed by Skylar. So as well as driving under the KM flag, Skylar does quite a lot of the livery work, if not all the livery work for our KM drivers. The KM drivers are given the freedom to go with what they want on the car, following the KM symbol, which you can see over Kevin Attic's car here. We'll get some more examples of that. So we've got Kevin again for KM, another one of the KM liveries for Blade Wolf as well. So a very nice, stunning KM on the side of his car. You'll see it eventually, but black, white and blue through the car. Sporting the Simstrata and Simufur logos as well there, so a lot of creativity and collaboration went into the car from Skylar and Blade. Skylar herself has changed her livery a little bit from what it used to be, but she's stuck to her roots in the sense that the purple fox on the side was on the side of the last car she raced in. And that's how we know what Skylar's car is. She uses relatively the same livery with a little bit of a change because that is her livery and that is the number that she will always race under when she can, the number 660. Speaking of rather complex liveries and liveries that had a lot of time into them, we saw him at the beginning of the stream, but Dipping Sauce, or Dip, you can see on his Jaguar here, the pride, almost like the pride flag going on here. It's very colourful, very bright. You can see how the colours all like blend in together on the car. I mean, the Jaguar, quite a nice canvas to paint on. It's quite a big car as it is, so there's a lot of space for a lot to be seen on this car. Lovely car to look at. Very well done by Skylar. Let's see if the other skins have loaded in yet. Not quite for Bracken, and I'm pretty sure it's the same for Nate as well. Never mind, we will sort that out. Back for another go then is Electroshocks. You'll see him pull out in a bit, but that is the number 75 Audi there. Very nice livery design as well. Coming back to Eris in the Lexus. Look at how vibrant that pink is on the character on the side of its car. We might get to see it properly in a bit. Here we go, as the camera goes past, almost like it shines out. Very nice car to go on. Very nice black around most of the car, and then the trans flag is almost like a painted stripe down the middle of the car. That for me is what a simple but elegant livery is. There's quite a lot in. There's not quite a lot on the car, but at the same time it pops. So it's very nice to look at, very easy to look at, very easy to determine which car is Eris. Not just the fact that the camera's on it, but there we go. 521 Eris in the Lexus with its own livery there. Who else have we got there? Renee. We'll see her come round in a minute. So this is her own livery design, I believe. In the yeah, 521. I think I got Eris's number wrong. Yeah, excuse me. 141 is Eris. 521 is Renee. So here we go. Here's Renee with her character on the side again as well. Seems to be a bit of a thing between some of the Ferrari drivers on the grid. 13 minutes left until we go into qualifying. And I think we've touched on just about... Oh no, we haven't. We've missed one. Oh dear, we've missed one. It's Danny, the number 44 Aston Martin. Haven't really seen Danny drive much since, especially in a broadcasted series of Simufur. But nevertheless, he's back with a vengeance in the pro class in the Aston Martin for season 4 of the GT3 main series. We'll certainly look to see where he can get up to by the end of the season. Might even get to speak to him as well. Danny is certainly someone who almost never gets annoyed, regardless of the situation. He can somehow keep the same chilled out tone, whatever he's talking about. So we'll see. Well, hopefully he can maintain that through the season. Plasma, the one they call a furry, back in the number 12 Porsche, or back in the number 12 driving a Porsche. Excuse me. I can't remember if the Porsche was the car he drove last time he was with Simufur, but nevertheless, here he is in the pro class. Number 12 has always been his number. And we'll see what he can do in the first season that we've seen him live in. So as you can see, quite a packed grid of drivers today. 40 drivers overall. 50 sign-ups overall, with 6 people on the reserve list waiting for a space in the Simufur Championship. Hopefully they get to join us at some point within the season. But 40 cars on the grid, it certainly looks like there's going to be some competition there. See what some of you lot are saying in the video. Welcome to the video. Let's see. Cameras, good to see you watching, bud. Hopefully you enjoy this as much as I'm going to enjoy broadcasting it. Pingu, welcome to the chat. It's a shame you're not down on the grid, but we wish you all the best. Those of you that know what Pingu is getting up to and what Pingu is getting involved in outside of sim racing or Simufur. As I said, wish him all the best. Man, Paula again, welcome to the chat. Good to see you. Good to see you here watching and cheering on the KM group and everyone else, hopefully. Yami, we look forward to seeing you off the waiting list and on our grid. Hopefully it's not too long a wait for you. Wuff, welcome to the chat. I don't know if we've seen you before, but it's good to see that we can see some support for Taylor, and thank you for confirming the Demo Boy flag on Taylor's car, so thank you very much for that. Hemi, welcome to the Simufur GT3 Season 4 chat. Ladies and gentlemen, everyone else, pay attention to Hemi because he is one of our pro drivers who will join in on the track. Very, very rarely falls below the top 5 whenever he is racing against Simufur. And one of the commentators for the AM Championship as well. So hopefully my commentary will be able to hold some sort of candle to Hemi and Fez, who did the AM Championship. But we'll soon see how it goes. Nevertheless, sit back, relax and enjoy the ride. Everyone that's tuned in today. Let's see where we're at. We're at 9 minutes left of free practice. It's getting very much closer to the competitive times. Speaking of times, let's bring, what can we see? So we can see the first, we can see 24 times here. So as you can see, there's quite a few people who are all competitive with one another. Not much in it between the silver class and pro class. Quite a few of them mixed in with one another there. And then the AM class beginning to get mixed in with some of the silver class as well. So we'll see what everyone can do. Once we follow Plasma on track, we can bring up the map here and you can see just exactly where Plasma is by the red dot on the screen. Now obviously we won't sit with that up through the whole race because that can be quite annoying for people to watch. So we'll certainly be watching here. We can also go on board with the driver and see how he's doing through the lap. Currently at 1 minute 11. Oh dear. Good catch by Plasma. Clearly just warming up the tyres. Let's see who else. We've got Slowbird in the 89, not quite out on track setting a lap yet. Maybe that's then done with practice for now and they're using the time to just chill out a bit before qualifying. Sarah is out on track, the 604 Honda. So on the side of Sarah's car, you can see an otter. That's the character, that's her character. So where are we? Let's just have a look. Just having a look. So we're with Skylar here. We've got the purple fox. We go back down to Sarah. We've got a pink otter on the side, both done in the same style by Skylar Vixen, both racing under the KM flag. As I said, Sarah's become a much more confident driver recently on the grid, so it will be fun to see where she can place herself in the AM Championship, especially after race number 1. So good luck to Sarah through the races. Someone else is finally out on track. It's Nate in the 131 Lamborghini. Moving at some speed as well, coming into the bus stop chicane onto the start-finish straight. I wonder if he can challenge the Silver Championship once again. Although at the same time we know that Suzuka is very keen on gaining the Silver Championship as well, so it could be a bit of a fight. Name tags are on Iron Ride because it helps me through commentary where I may not always be looking at the broadcasting tool. It's nice to be able to see them above the cars. The name tags are on Iron Ride because it helps. Minutes left of free practice, and I believe we've managed to get through the whole grid, all 40 drivers. So we'll sit back and patiently wait for qualifying to kick off. Quite a few of the drivers have come in now. They're probably doing the same, just waiting for that final 4 minutes to count down so they can go out and set the absolute fastest laps they possibly can. And meanwhile, some drivers are still out. Still relatively on a good time as well, just sorting out the final bits of qualifying, like Taylor here, who heads off up Eau Rouge in the GTR Nissan and down the Camel Straight, through Camel, now onto the Camel Straight. And into Lacombe. So one of only, I believe it's 1, 2, 3 Nissans. Yeah, 3 Nissans. The other one we can see on the grid there is Saber Kitsune, who seems to have merged with one of the cars there. So we'll no doubt see him on track at some point. Let's see if we can try and change. You can see it a little bit there. Welcome to the stream, man. Hopefully you have fun watching. Welcome to the stream, man. Hopefully you have fun watching. Oof. Hopefully you don't have fun watching that. My goodness. I think we're quite lucky that wasn't in qualifying. Welcome to the stream, man. Hopefully you have fun watching. Oof. Hopefully you don't have fun watching that. My goodness. I think we're quite lucky that wasn't in qualifying. Welcome to the stream, man. Hopefully you have fun watching. Okay, so whilst the final 30 seconds of free practice ticks down, we can jump to the interior of Blade Wolf in the Aston Martin, and I will leave you here for 2 minutes whilst I be right back. Right then, and away we go with qualifying. Am Championship for the first out on the grid. As you can see there, admin are called for the first 12 minutes for the Am Championship to begin. They have 12 minutes to set the fastest laps possible. before we then move on to the silver class being let out, and then finally the pros. So here we can see then the AM Championship side is Skylar Vixen, number 660, Jinfilth, the number 96, 529 is Wolfen in the blue E Lamborghini, followed by Jasper in the 223. Renee for national class is in the 521. She starts her first flying lap now. There's been a bit of an off on track. It seems that Jasper ran a little bit wide coming into Blanchemont there. But he is back on the track and heading up to the bus stop chicane to start another lap. Taylor Collier in the 94 is about to start a lap. Here they are coming across the start finish line now and on their way up through Eau Rouge. Smoothly up Eau Rouge so far. It almost looked like they went a little bit wide there, but they've kept the lap on. They come down to the Kemmel Straight, 3 cars up in front. Hopefully they learn that Taylor is on a fast lap and get out of the way pretty quickly as we come through the comms there with Taylor. A couple of cars on a valid lap ahead. Renee is not on a valid lap, so she will need to move if Taylor gets any closer to her, although I think that switchback has already been done there. I was looking away from the screen briefly. So here we go then, Taylor comes into the bus stop chicane and over the line. Very competitive time so far. It's going to be a 2:24, currently putting them in 5th. Geeg is up there with a 2:22.8. Wolfen is there with a 2:22.3. Sergo is in there with a 2:21. And there goes Skylar Vixen into P1 of AM class so far with a 2:20.1. Quite a couple of AMs still yet to set a time. We've got Jasper coming in there with a 2:26, a good banker lap. Hopefully they can improve on it, but Sarah goes ahead of Jasper with a 2:25.002. Seffi right in there with a 2:23, pushing right into the AM grid. Currently sits 6th at the moment on the grid in total. That's before the silver class get in. Renee's on a lap. She's quite early into the lap at the moment, so nevertheless she's still valid. So hopefully we can see what she can do. Taylor pulls over and back into the line to let Renee through. She still continues on her lap. I did have her highlighted in the oh, there she is. currently at 142, 144 at the moment, as she heads on around the very fast sector, around Blanchimont, up to the bus stop chicane. It's a little bit ahead of her at the moment. But we'll see where she can get to. Slowbird is on the track in the car number 89, but is invalid at the moment. I think that's an out lap at the moment. About 4 minutes left for the AM Championship to complete their quick laps. Renee comes into the bus stop chicane now. Let's see where she can put the Lamborghini 521. Here she comes over the start-finish line. She pushes all the way to 7th place on the grid. Very good start so far for Renee. Good banker lap. She's already set to improve though, so we'll hopefully see if she can. Sarah as well, she's on a lap as well and sort of set to improve. She's coming on to finish her lap now. She heads up to the... Oh no, sorry, excuse me, she's just left the source. So she's on her way up to Eau Rouge. Smoothly up Eau Rouge so far. Keeps well controlled of the car there and keeps it valid as she comes onto the Camel Straight down into Le Com. Gaining a little bit of time there, she heads down to the chicane. Very long chicane, Le Com. Meanwhile, looking slightly further up the grid, we've got Dat Sergo 176 pushing Skylar down by 1, leading with now a 2:19.6 in the Ferrari. Fantastic time for the AM Championship. Very well done indeed. Hopefully Skylar Vixen does answer that. She's invalid at the moment, but she will no doubt be trying her hardest to put in a lap. Seems like Sarah might have had a slight mistake coming onto the lap. She's down on her time at the moment, but still pushing hard. Where she might lose time in one sector, she could always make it up in the next sector, so it's certainly important not to give up. Unless you know that you're not going to do well in case that you have a big spin or whatnot. So good luck to Sarah. Hopefully she improves on her time. JPEG Fox pushes into the 7th position of the AM Championship at the moment. With a 2:23. Then you've got Randomy of TG pushing in with a 2:22. Peg Fox pushes into the 7th position of the AM Championship at the moment. With a 2:23. Then you've got Randomy of TG pushing in with a 2:22. Let's see who else has pushed in. So Denak in car number 54 in the Jaguar sits currently in P3 at the moment. Obviously this will all change when the Silver and Pro class come out. Very respectful time of 2:21 at the moment as he comes out to set another lap. About a minute left to go for the AM champs, for the AM class to qualify, so I'm not sure he'll make it round in time. Although if he can cross the line before Silver class come out, then he is very much entitled to complete that lap. Nevertheless though, Sergo holds on with a 2:19. We've got Skylar Vixen is currently up on her time at the moment. She'll be definitely trying to push Sergo down the grid as much as she can. Very, very competitive time from Skylar Vixen at the moment. A lot of the AM drivers as well, as we look down the grid, are very much up on their time. Sarah nearly half a second up. Very much nearly half a second up, so we'll go to her in a minute if she doesn't jump up the queue in a bit, but we'll watch Skylar Vixen now. She's on a very quick lap indeed. building the time up as she goes around, really has control of that Honda. We'll see if she can push into a faster time than Sergel. Maybe. It's always possible. Oh dear, slight off for Skylar there, and she manages to catch the car before hitting the bumper. Nevertheless though, another one of the KM drivers pushes two people down in position, and that's Sarah. She comes in with a 2:23.092 and then hits the wall at high speeds, maybe in celebration, we don't know. Coming back to another car, this is Jasper in the 2:23, nearly a second up on his time. Very interesting to see what Jasper can do whilst on a lap at the moment. Apologies, I've gone quiet there. I feel like I'm going to sneeze at some point. Anyway, we'll stick to Jasper at the moment. He's 2 seconds up on his time as he comes in to cross the start-finish line after the bus stop chicane, and that's a 2:19.9, pushing Skylar down by one more again. That's a phenomenal lap from Jasper as he pulls in here. Last of the AMs out on the grid at the moment, whilst the silver class come out, is Telephones in car number 31. Unfortunately not making that lap happen, but he sits at a 2:27. And then there's Electroshocks there at a 2:28. Unfortunately, Ginfilf in the 96 didn't set a time. Slowbird has unfortunately not set a time. And we have Ruby Kitsune folks there with a 2:25 as well. Taylor's final time is a 2:24. Seffi finishes on a 2:23.9. JPEG Fox, on a 2:23.2. Renee all the way up there with a 2:23.1. Sarah pushes in with a 2:23.0. And all the way up at the top there, we've got Sergel sat there in a 2:19.6. Jasper on a 2:19.9 and Skylar Vixen on a 2:21. Some fantastic times from the AM class, but nevertheless the AM class, it's time to move over as the silver class come out onto the track. And there we have Oraz who's out, Anka who's been putting some serious practice into Spa. It all comes down to this then as he comes out on an opening lap. Bracken is out as well in the 78. Eris makes its way up, I've forgotten the name of that bit of the track, but nevertheless, Eris is out on an opening lap as well. We've got Newbean Kings or Nick out in the KM Mercedes, another one that I missed for KM. There's so many KM drivers on the grid, it's unbelievable. And anyway, the number 17 and a blue cat on the side, designed by Skylar Vixen there, you can see that, or a blue cat, sorry, blue tiger, my apologies, blue tiger. Suzuka in the number 10 Lamborghini, hopefully to push as high as possible in the silver class. And out there as well, KM's driver number 14, Attic Racer. It chases Grim down in the 115 Porsche. A bit of a rivalry going between Kevin or Attic and Grim then, as the two of them follow each other through the bus stop chicane, the dedicated no slow zone tonight, over the start finish line, and start their flying laps. Say start their flying laps, start banker laps, so we've got 2:19 there from Kevin, 2:19.7 from Anka, very good time, 2:19.9 from Grim, Sergo staying up there still in the AM class with a 2:19.6. He probably cannot believe what he's seeing. Grim there in 4th place at the moment on a 2:19.9. Nate falls in with a 2:20.2. Otto goes all the way up to P1 with a 2:19.5. Phenomenal effort from Otto in the 666 Audi. And who else has got banker laps? We've got Dip there in the 38 and on 2:21 at the moment. Currently up on his time, but invalid, so plenty of time for him. Suzuka's banked a 2:20, but is almost half a second up on this lap now as they head down through that long right-hander. Blade Wolf is in there at P11 at the moment with a 2:20.7, currently out on another quick lap. Hi Luna, welcome to the chat. We have Menos there in a number 139 on a 2:21.9 at the moment, although Menos is nearly 1.5 seconds up on that banker lap, so that is definitely about to push into the 2:19s, hopefully. Eris is there with a 2:21. Invalid at the moment, but plenty of time to set another lap. Suzuka still continues to push up to nearly a second quicker than that previous lap. As they head up to Blanchimont and down onto the bus stop chicane. There we go through Blanchimont now. Still valid, still getting ever so closer to a second quicker. And there it is, they're now 1.2 seconds quicker. There's a little bit of a slide there. Suzuka drops a bit of time and heads up to the start-finish straight. And that will put them up to 4th place currently with a 2:19.8. Also still holding top place in silver class on a 2:19.5. Bracken pushes up to P3 overall, P2 in silver class with a 2:19.6. Nate answers with also a 2:19.6. Just hundreds off Bracken. They're pushing Anka down a little bit, but Anka is nearly 200s up on his current time in the BMW M4. Nick pushes all the way up to P2, pushing Sergo down to P3. He comes in with a 2:19.6. Otto there, still holding on to the fastest place in silver with a 2:19.5. Working very hard to stay ahead of his time. It's by a slither at the moment, I can tell you that much. However, going further down there, Nate is 200s up on his times. That could possibly be a much more competitive 2:19, pushing him further up the grid. Anka is half a second up on his time in the BMW M4. Slight bit of traffic ahead as well, so we'll see what happens here as Anka catches up to the grid. Although the other two cars ahead are on a valid lap, so it's not their job to move over if Anka catches up. Meaning it will have to be Anka that creates the space, and the car behind Anka will have to then create further space as well. Hopefully everybody can move at around about the same pace so we can continue this great lap that we're seeing from Anka now, who pushes to almost nearly a second up on his time. Another person who's also a second up on his time is Attic, currently sat in P8 overall in the number 14 Bentley. We'll watch as Anka here comes past Blanchimont into the bus stop chicane. You can see Grim going through there. Here we go, Anka comes round, doesn't drop any time at all, and moves up to P1 overall, followed very closely by Attic Racer in P2. Anka there setting his first ever 2:18 on track. A fantastic effort from Anka as they come into the last 2 minutes of qualifying, so they are across the line. They do have that time to set another lap. Kevin is absolutely or Attic, excuse me, is absolutely going to go for it now in the Bentley Continental GT. He heads down to Le Comte chicane, with I believe that's Grim following very closely behind. Bit slidey through there, but nevertheless he is making the time back up again. As you can see from following the Bentley, the dark bit of the track there is effectively the racing line. Looked like Attic went a little bit wide there, but he hasn't. He is still valid and still gaining time. This could be a very, very good answer to Anka's very quick lap. Although at the same time, Anka is on a lap and is still working on improving his time. He's nearly 100th up on this time. However, Kevin that we're following here is about 300ths up and continuing to gain as well. So this, if Kevin or Attic, excuse me, manages to hold it together, this is going to be a very decent 2:18 lap, one that could potentially make Anka panic a little bit going into the main race. These two fighting for P1 and 2 for the silver race. You can see Attic there. He comes through Blanchimont up to the bus stop chicane, the final corner. It could be make or break. It's certainly make for Attic. He pushes to almost over half a second quicker in the Bentley Continental, and he comes over the start-finish line with a 2:18.6, pushes Anka down to second place in silver. But I have a feeling Anka there is not done, as they come in with a 2:18.9 at the moment. They are starting another lap as well, so... And because there's about 10 seconds left until the Pro Class comes out, that gives Anka plenty of time to get up Eau Rouge. You can see here a few of the Pro Class are beginning to line up. Here they all come together. Oh, there's a bit of a knock in the pits there, as someone doesn't quite get it right, but nevertheless, Azure comes out, followed closely. Following Fezfox out. A few of the silvers are still on track at the moment. Eris up there with a 2:20 and gaining currently. Bit of a slide in the Lexus. Almost loses the time, but catches it enough to be able to build the time up again. Blade Wolf behind is on... Oh, sorry, not behind. They're behind on the... Oh, I don't know. Blade Wolf nearly half a second up on his time. So plenty of space then for the Pro Class to stretch out. The silvers have all got by the Pro Class effectively. It's allowing the Pro Class to be able to warm up properly. Eris still gains on its time as it comes into Sector 3 of Spa. Building up time quite a lot. Blade Wolf nearly builds up by almost a second as he comes up to the bus stop chicane. Here we go, what can he do? It's still nearly a second quicker. He comes across the start-finish straight. It's 2:20 is it at the moment, and he pushes up a couple of places to 2:20.0. Eris at the moment is just passing Blanchimont. Now it's interesting because Eris is up on his time at the moment. But imagine if it didn't have that slide earlier in the lap, how far would it have been up on that time? It's still up on its time by 100th. We're going to push up now. It comes across the start-finish line, a little bit wide there, but still valid. Comes across the line to do a 2:27. Unfortunately, not enough to push past Blade or Skylar, but a very good effort nonetheless. And that brings the silvers... Oh, excuse me. No, there is still a silver there. It's Nate who pushes into P3 overall with a 2:19.2. Fantastic effort from Nate as he pulls off. Nevertheless, though, we have the Pro Class. Fezfox has just started on a lap in the 86 McLaren. So here he goes then, up Eau Rouge. Someone else looks like they're leaving the pits at the moment. Bit bumpy through Eau Rouge, but nevertheless he is still on a valid lap. He's got a lot of space around him. That is Plasma and the number 12 Porsche following him out there. So here goes Fez then through Lecombe's chicane. A few other people want a quick lap there, but it seems like Plasma's having to do a bit of moving over to let everyone through. The only thing I can think of there is he left a little bit later than everyone else, but nevertheless a lot of people are following him. So he's not quite on a valid lap yet, so he will have to move for these people as they come through. But back up to Fez then, who is coming into sector 3 now, heading round that corner, of which name I forget, down towards Blanchemont. And here he goes up to the bus stop chicane then. Due to finish a good banker lap. We're going to see where he goes at the moment. It could potentially be a 218. And it is, it's a 218.5. Just a note there, Attic Racer for Silver Class managed to push Anka down by one position, answering with a 218.6. However, Fez Fox comes in with a 218.5. Sabre Kitsune answers in the 523 with a 218.1, but Oblivion in the 777 Ferrari pushes in with a 217.3. Got Josiah Whiskey there setting a 218.9. Joker comes in with a 218.9 as well, not far off Josiah. Azure Goat pushes all the way into P3 with a 218.5. Phenomenal times that we're seeing from the pro class at the moment. Danny Banks a nice 219.050, mixing in with some of the silvers there. Anchor and Attic must be feeling a little bit lucky to be among the pro class at the moment, but there's still certainly some times to be set. We have Dolby in the 650 McLaren out there. We've got Cafe as well coming towards the end of the lap as we see him go through the bus stop chicane, or coming up to the bus stop chicane in the Porsche number 21. Let's see what he can do then. Where is he going to push into? Comes across the line. Pushes into P11 overall, with Snooty McFlude in P10 in the 219.1 in a 48 BMW. Who else were we focusing on there? We had him, there he is, he's in the 650 McLaren, it's Dolby. Number 34 there is, he's very much just starting sector 3 at the moment, I believe, or coming up to the start of sector 3. And we've got Plasma who's on a time now. Oh, it pulls off there. Hopefully that's going to be a chance for Dolby to get back out and get a lap time in quickly, as 5 minutes remain of qualifying. Nevertheless, Plasma is on one on in the number 12 Porsche as he comes up to the bus stop chicane. Here he goes then. Where is he going to put himself now? And he comes across the start-finish line. He puts himself in P10 overall with a 219.8. Very good time from Plasma. 4 minutes left to go for him to set a better time than what he is. Snooty McFlude is nearly half a second up on his time. In fact, pushes over half a second now. He just needs to keep this pace up as he comes across the start-finish line. Going to be a 218 watt though. Where's he going to go? He pushes into P7 overall. Fantastic time set so far. Attic Racer in the silver class Bentley P14 still holds on to P6 overall as there seems to be a bit of a crash from Joker. He comes to a halt on the Camel Straight and pulls back into the pits. Hopefully he gets out for another lap. Caffey nearly a half a second up on his time as he comes across, or comes into Blanchimont now, heading up to the bus stop chicane, I believe it is. Yep, there we go, heading up to the bus stop chicane. 2:19 is the current time, 2:09 is what he's on at the moment. 2:15, here we go, heading up to the start finish line. It is going to be a 2:18.7 that answers to 9th place for Caffey. Great effort so far. Still plenty of time to set a lap though. Plenty of time indeed to set a lap. And who else have we got? Oblivion has beat his own time by pushing into a 2:16.6. Sabre in the 523 Nissan GTR is on a 2:17.7. Fez not currently up on his time at the moment, but still time to push on a 2:17.9. And Danny has pushed into P4 in a 2:18.4. Almost equal to Azure in a 2:18.4 as well. Azure seems to be not too far down, but almost equal to the time he set last lap, which was a 2:18.482. You can see by watching Azure's time relative there, he's finding little slithers of time as he makes his way around Josiah Husky there, excuse me. Speaking of Josiah, where are we at with them? Hold on 1 second, let's try and find... Oh, there he is. In P8, you can see it on your screen on the left, but trying to find it in the broadcasting tool where they are is a lot of scrolling, but nevertheless, Josiah in there with a 2:18.7, a respectable 8th place out of all the silvers. We've had Caffey having a really big spin there. He must have just caught the curb a little bit. Not quite enough time to get out and set another lap. And let's look at the top 3 then. It's Oblivion with a 2:16.86. Sabre still with a 2:17.7, finding a little bit of time. Fez Fox is there with a 2:17.9, and not far off him is Azure in the 765 with a 2:18.3. Again, as Azure stamps another lap, finding slithers of time. A lot of these drivers now are finding little bits of time in their lap. Joker's nearly 300ths up and building as well, so this could be something even more competitive for Joker. He holds the top 10th position at the moment. Plasma down in 12th, he's 100th up on his time, so we'll go to him in a minute if he's not already finished. Nope, car 12 is just behind Joker there, so Joker number 62 there, he's half a second up and counting on his current time as he's in sector 2 at the moment. So far so good from Joker. Just behind him is Plasma, still pushing close to 300ths up. Joker there pushes up to nearly 700ths up, pushing close to a second, almost 600ths up on his current time as he comes round to start sector 3. The top 3 still haven't changed, although Azure is gaining a lot of time. Danny has a bit of a spin and chooses to call it a day there. Oblivion, as if he hasn't set a fastest time already, sets an even, or goes to set a quicker time as the final 3 minutes count down. Nevertheless though, we've got Joker here coming up to the bus stop chicane. Plasma shortly behind him. Plasma nearly a second up on his time. Here comes Joker though, 600ths up on his current time. It's going to be a good answer to the top 10. Where does it put him? All the way up in the 5th place. Fantastic effort by Joker. And Plasma as well comes round the bus stop chicane over the start finish straight. And he puts himself in 5th place as well, just pushing Joker down to P6. What a phenomenal lap from Plasma. Fantastic racing and fantastic laps overall from these drivers. And that is everybody. We have Oblivion there. It's probably more on a parade lap than anything else, but needless to say, there are 2 minutes left of chill out time. But nevertheless, your top 10 so far are Oblivion, Saber Kitsune, Vezfox, Azure Goat, Plasma, Joker, Danny, Attic Racer, P8 but P1 now in Silver Class, Snooty McFlude in P9 overall, Josiah in P10 and Caffey in P11. P2 for Silver Class is Anka and P3 for Silver Class is Nate. P1 by a long shot in the AM class is Sergo, number 176. P2 is Jasper, number 223. And P3, a phenomenal effort for the AM class, is Skylar Vixen in the 660. And that is your qualifying for Spa. We'll be back in a few minutes as we get on to the grid and we start this first ever GT3 championship. there we go, live now. Minute 50 countdown time. Thought we'd at least make it so that we can not spend too much time on the grid. So here is your leader, Oblivion, in the 777. He leads on from Saber Kitsune in P2, and then Fez Fox in the 86 McLaren in P3. Coming up the grids, then let's have a look at everyone here. 40 drivers have turned up tonight for the first round of the GT3 Season 4 Championship. Very colourful grid we have here as well. Just look at the diversity we see in all the colours here, all the cars.
And how important is qualifying to you in a 24-hour race?
Turn round to have a look there. That is the view. Oh dear. That is the view ahead of them. 30-second countdown means that we get that all cars must start their engines and be ready to go. Anybody that's not ready within that 30-second period will be automatically teleported to the pits. 3 seconds to go before we start our warm-up lap, led now away by Oblivion. Nice to see as well, nobody back on the back in the pit lane. Everybody got started and out of the menus and ready to go. Nice slow trail of cars there. Come up Eau Rouge, warming tyres, warming brakes, weaving in a little bit just to get those pressures a little bit higher than normal. The AM class slowly but surely come up together. Very gingerly up Eau Rouge, mixed in with a couple of silvers there. Best one with a chance at the moment in AM class is this lad here, Sergo, in the 176 Ferrari. We'll see what happens. Very long queue of cars it is as well. Slowbird stalled? Question mark? Oh, and there we go. Slowbird is in the pits. So hopefully they'll get away. Hopefully they'll get away. Slightly ignore what you're seeing on the left there. That's not quite how it is. Oblivion is still the leader, who then leads from Saber and Fez Fox. You might find that they've changed position a bit. Some of the cars can't ghost through one another, which does cause a bit of a position change among the drivers. But needless to say, as long as they're all in the place they started in, when the lights go green, no one should get into any trouble. It's a very long lap, Spa, especially for an opening lap. I feel that in other tracks by now we'd almost be done, but they're just coming round into Sector 3 at the moment. See a couple of the cars weaving about there, just trying to get all the heat they can into the tyres, just to get the pressures up to where they should be. It's a shame that you can't really see the individual like HUDs for the individual drivers. Like we've got Eris selected here, but even if you go to basic, you can only see that their tyres are dry tyres, and it's set 1. You can see Eris has its lights on, but you can't tell much else other than that. So remains to see like how people's tyres look. Nevertheless, we'll keep that to open. All the cars begin to line up 2 by 2 then as they come through the bus stop chicane and onto the start-finish straight. It's a very short start-finish straight. They'll get told in a minute to push to about 70 kilometers an hour and hold for a rolling start, and that goes for everybody as well, not just the leaders. So everybody coming round La Source here, and this is where they'll get told now to push to 70 kilometers an hour and hold. We're so close to it. It's due to start any minute now. All 3 green lights will go out and you'll hear the race director call it.
Green light, go, go, go.
And away we go then for GT3 Season 4 of Simufur. Oblivion gets away, followed very closely by Sabre, Fez and Azure. Very cleanly up Eau Rouge indeed. Some of the cars behind going 4 wide through Eau Rouge onto the Kemmel Straight. The silver class get away quite easily as well. They're sharing a lot of the track with one another. Let's see how the AM class are doing. The AM class are relatively clean. Meanwhile up top there though, the Pro class have come into the comms. I think that's Danny there that loses out a little bit but manages to push back in front of Plasma, but just behind Joker. Oblivion is away in the Ferrari, followed very closely by Sabre in the GTR. Doing well to hold Fez Fox off so far. Needless to say, Plasma is in P7 being chased by Snooty and Josiah. There, just behind them is Attic Racer in the number 14 Bentley. Going further down the grid there, Grim in the 115 is chasing Nate for P13 at the moment. He has a look at it. It doesn't quite happen. Nevertheless, though, there is plenty of lap to go. Behind them sits Dolby in the 34. Grim gets very much closer to Nate. It looks to go around the outside in this corner, but Nate moves to defend. Very, very good defending from Nate. A little bit of time lost there by Grim, but Nate is now catching up to Kevin, who has, in fact, caught up to Caffey. Caffey's just taken that position there. We missed that one slightly. But these guys all very, very close together. Slightly further down the grid, we've got Nick in the number 17 Mercedes, who's just overtaken Otto for P16. Bracken chases these two in P18. The AM class leader at the moment, Sergo, is being chased by Suzuka Shark. Silver. This will be very interesting to watch. There we go with Suzuka Shark there. Just behind them is Menos in the number 139 McLaren. They get very close to one another coming into the bus stop chicane, but still very cleanly round. Dip looks to take the outside, but doesn't quite pull it off on Menos. Second place in the AM class is Skylar Mixon there. She's being chased by Blade Wolf currently moved up to P23. The narrow miss on Dip, as Dip has a narrow miss on Menos. And Blade sneaks through in the Aston Martin 142. And they go side by side with one another. This is a brave move from these two drivers. Side by side with one another up Eau Rouge. It's Skylar that gets the position over Blade Wolf. And onto the Kemmel Straight, opening up an instant gap there. It's a very well held position by Skylar. Very good effort indeed. Behind them sits Denak in P25. Bracken moves for the overtake and gets it a little bit wrong coming into Lacombe. Hits all the speed bumps there as Nick and Nate go side by side through Lacombe. They still remain side by side. Who is going to get advantage on this one? They'll be looking to overtake Dolby. Dolby has to defend against two cars. There's a slight touch between Nate and Nick there, but Nick catches a car in good time. He's got to defend from Otto, but Otto slips a bit now. Sergel tries to make his way through there and does just about. They touch again. Bracken and Suzuka go side by side. Suzuka loses out. Bracken slides off to the grid. And down the grid he goes, giving positions away all the time. He looks to rejoin the grid. He gets back on safely, but he loses to Seffi, who chases Sarah, who's up in 27th. And who's that as well? Skylar Vixen's had a bit of a crash. She comes back on the track. Then that is a shame for Skylar. She was doing well there, but nevertheless moves to try and take Wolfin. So she's got a fight with Wolfin. Just slightly back, you've got Sarah, who's beginning to fight with Seffi. They move to overtake. They're both moving to overtake Wolfin there. Wolfin a little bit boxed in by these two, who are trying to have their own fight. And they come through. Oh, I thought for a minute Seffi had gone for it there, but they come through Blanchemont and up to the bus stop chicane. It's Sarah that gets away with the advantage on that one, looking to pull a gap there. Seffi looking to squeeze by Wolfin, and she does just about make it, almost, but Wolfin gets the position back. That must be frustrating for Seffi there, and behind them as well you've got Jin and Bracken looking to get in. There's a little bit of a cheeky move from Seffi there, but she's just ahead. Bit of a bump from her and Wolfin as these two choose almost to go side by side, but Jin and Bracken have decided to sort it out and go one by one through Eau Rouge. There's another crash there from Skylar as she connects to the barrier on the Kemmel Straight, trading paint with the barrier and coming to a slow grind, then just allowing cars past her. She's got a bit of work to do, and just behind her comes Ruby Kitsune Fox, who now makes up to P31 in the number 43 McLaren. Smoothly enough through the source she goes, now having to defend off Skylar. Seems like she's taken a little bit of damage on the front bumper there. Skylar is not giving that up for anyone. She is determined to get back up the grid. Behind these two in her own little race is Renee, being chased by Taylor there, and we've got Bracken, who's had a bit of an off there. Hopefully he can keep his spot between Skylar. Skylar moves to take Ruby. Her next target now is Bracken. She's making her way back up the grid. Hopefully she can do it. Taylor Colley down in P34. We've got Electroshocks in P35. He's being chased by Jasper, who must have had an off somewhere. That's not likely we see Jasper that far down the grid, but he makes it solidly past Electroshocks and Telephones. Telephones is chasing Electroshocks for position now. Shocks goes a little bit wide. Telephones holds on to it, but doesn't make the position back. It's a shame Slowbird has gotten out of the pits. Bracken again with a yellow flag. He takes another scuff. Coming into sector 3, heading down to Blanchemont. Then it's allowed Renee to go by and Ruby to go by. Taylor's not quite caught up yet, but Bracken's still got plenty of racing ahead of him. Meanwhile, going back up the grid, we've got Oblivion, who is gone by now. The only thing Fez can hope for here is that Oblivion makes some sort of mistake in the Ferrari. Fez Fox has taken Sabre for P2 though, and shortly behind Sabre is Plasma, who I believe is having to deal with blue flags. I believe that is Eris. Eris currently sits in... wait for it. Looking at the left of the screen instead. But nevertheless, Eris lets Plasma through, so Plasma can continue the chase. Eris again receiving blue flags. It's all the way down into P40 at the moment. That's a much better one to look at. So Eris currently being chased by Joker. There, Bracken has moved to the pits. I hope Bracken is on his way back out again. Telephone's having another crash. Oof. That's a massive crash to the Audi. That is just after Eau Rouge as well. Hopefully, I mean, there's no one around at the moment. Telephones does get it going again. It's a shame to see for our new drivers. There, but nevertheless, Telephones has got it going. Geek has made a position up as he chases after Telephones. Telephones making it through Lacombe. Geek not far behind at all, but the damage on Telephones, needless to say, is going to be detrimental to his performance. It seems that Eris, unfortunately, has had a crash on the bus stop chicane. That's a difficult position to get moving from. It's going to have to allow for cars to get through. Cars are going to have to respect the fact that Eris is there. Oh, narrowly avoided there. That was almost too close for comfort. We'll see if Eris now has a spot after JPEG goes through. It does get the car going again. They're currently in P41 as Eris at the moment. Telephones again has gone off. That is a sad sight to see for poor Telephones as he makes a decision on what he's going to do. Orez is down in P39 and being chased by Dat Sergel there, who's P16. Orez no choice but to go wide. He's got to let also through at some point as well. And he does. Next one to come through is Menos. Dip and Suzuka Shark are having their own little battle here. Battle for P20, then Dip currently holds the lead on it. Just behind them is Blade Wolf, who's overtaken Danak. Danak is there in P22, being followed by his teammate Randomy, being followed by Blue E's Wolfin in P24. Sarah all the while is up to P25 or P5 in AM class, with Jinfulf in P6 and Sefi very close behind in P7. Just a little bit off them is JPEG Fox, so hopefully JPEG Fox can push a little bit quicker to make up the times as we see another yellow flag. That's Slowbird. Eau Rouge claims another victim, unfortunately. Skylar and Telephones sit in the pits currently. Slowbird gets the Jaguar going, although they've got Geek chasing again. Geek making up positions as he goes through here. He'll be looking to see how far he can get up. Slowbird has got to get moving now in order to hold Geek off. We'll see if Skylar's going to come back out. It's unfortunate she drops to P36. Orez is in P37 and dealing with traffic. Menos is a second off him. He'll be looking to get through at some point because he's being chased by Azure in the 765. Azure's taken a bit of a scuff, it seems, as well. But he's not got much time to think about that as Dip, Suzuka and Blade all follow. Then it seems like someone's come to a bit of a stop on the bus stop chicane. It's Wolfin. Jinfulf has had a little bit of an accident there. He looks to rejoin the track. And JPEG Fox gets round safely. That was a bit of a hold your breath moment, but it's allowed Sefi and JPEG to take advantage from that. Sefi's had a bit of a scuff there to the Aston Martin. And JPEG Fox and Jinfulf go toe-to-toe with each other coming out of the source. Just down from there you've got Ruby Kitsune being chased by Rene for P29. A lot of these drivers making up a lot of time on the grid. Then this is fantastic for Ruby. Telephones still sat in the grid. We're unsure if Telephones will come back out again. Sarah's had a bit of an off as well. That's a shame. Sarah's had a bit of an off coming into Lacombe. She moves off the track. She moves back onto the track. There's a little bit of a squeeze there. Those two cars chasing one another do make it through as they battle side by side. No, they don't. They don't battle side by side at all. What are you saying? JPEG gets away cleanly from Jinfilf, but Jinfilf hasn't given up. Sarah has got the Honda going again, so she's got a little bit of making up to do. She's got Ruby 5 seconds off and pushing kind of hard. Although Ruby has got Renee to think about for P30 to P29. And just behind them you've got Jasper chasing for P30 as well. Renee gets round Ruby and takes P29. Ruby holding P30 here, still 9 positions up from the bottom of the grid. Telephones does get out the pits again. And Skylar also gets out the pits again, as well as Bracken. It's fantastic to see. Bracken just behind Denak there. So hopefully Bracken can follow Denak and get a bit of a slipstream through. Sergo has moved to take Otto, but Otto's not giving it up very cleanly at all as they come down to the source. Sergo defends the inside, moves to the outside, opens it up. There's a bit of a squeeze from Otto. There's a bit of a clank between the two of them, but they're okay. Josiah has had a bit of a crash coming up Eau Rouge. Snooty gets away, followed by Grim and Anka, who are chasing one another for P9 at the moment. Does Josiah get it going again? He does on the Kemmel Straight, but he's now got Otto, Sergo, Menos, all in their own little battle there. Seems like... Let me see. Oh, no, so Otto is there now challenging Josiah. Sergo is there with Menos challenging Azurgo. Oraz one runs wide there. He's got to let these cars through. Dip squeezes past, and then the next one to get past there is Suzuka. Oraz currently in P36 with Skylar behind. Denak has had a bit of a scuff there coming off Eau Rouge onto the Kemmel Straight. Sarah makes up a position. She's now back up to P27 there. Let's have a look at the top of the grid. Oblivion is just still gone. Still far out ahead in the Ferrari with Fez Fox in P20, no P2, excuse me, P20, what are you on about? And Saber Kitsune in P3, behind them is Plasma in the number 12 Porsche and Joker in the 62 Honda. Although it seems like Danny and Kathy could be getting into a bit of it together. So that is Danny there in the Aston Martin, who's being chased by Kathy in the number 21 Porsche. And about 4 seconds off them is Snooty in the 48 BMW. Kathy goes for a look on Danny. Doesn't quite make it happen. Nevertheless, these two fighting like this gives Snooty all the time in the world to just sit back and make up the time. As these two worry about defending off one another, Danny pulls off the inside defence and moves to the outside and pulls a good gap as the two of them head up to Eau Rouge. And it'll be Danny that leads through Eau Rouge at the moment. Very cleanly the two of them go up Eau Rouge. Bit of a wiggle from Danny there. Kathy runs a little bit over there as well, but the two of them are fine. That's a good thing to see. Meanwhile, further down the grid slightly, you've got Nate, who just pushes up Eau Rouge, being chased by Dolby at the moment. Nate pushes to chase Nick for P11, whilst Nick pushes to chase Anka for the final top 10 position. Anka doing extremely well up here in silver. They've definitely been placed correctly as they chase Grim for P9. It's all to play for at the moment. There's 42 minutes left of the race. Next target for them is Snooty. Nevertheless, though, Danny and Kathy get closer and closer together. Coming into P2 of Spa here, we're going to go slightly further down. We've got a triple battle going on. Menos, Azure and Dipping Sauce all fighting for P17 at the moment. P16, excuse me. Sergo is in that mix. Menos goes for the inside, but doesn't quite pull it off. Dip looks for the inside of Azure, but decides to stay back for now. Meanwhile, Suzuka Shark is sat behind all of these, wondering if something catastrophic can happen to these 4 drivers. Very close it is between Azure and Menos, and Dip and Suzuka Shark at the moment. You can see here just from Menos pushing and pushing, that Azure is not giving that up easily. But meanwhile, Sergo is the one that's got something to worry about. He's got 4 cars there that will be trying for his position. But meanwhile, these 4 get closer and closer together. Dip manages to squeeze through to almost push up the inside of Azure, but it doesn't quite pull off. This train of cars now comes across the start-finish straight. Oraz again having to move for blue flags down in P36. An absolute shame for Oraz, but hopefully he keeps pushing to the end. We've got Denak in P35, who's just come into the pits. Oh, that seems like a bit of a scuff for Denak. Hopefully it's not all over yet. Slowbird is in P32, defending off Geeg in P33. It's good to see that Slowbird got it going. Nevertheless, there is a bit of a scuff to the front there. Though the 2 of them are fighting here for P32 at the moment. They've got Oblivion not far behind at all, 8 seconds ahead, and with the speed that Oblivion is going at, he'll be there in absolutely no time to take the position off and back from nope, what are you doing, Snowdog? He'll be there to continue to fight through traffic, which could end up giving Fez and Saber something to catch up with, but we'll see how he handles traffic later on.
Pit window is open.
And that is the 20-minute pit window. Denak has pitted before the pit window is open, so that's not going to be, that is not going to count for Denak. So Denak is going to have to come out and do another lap and come back in again. We'll see what happens. Is Oblivion going to pit now? He doesn't decide to pit now. There we go, Denak comes out the pits. Welcome to the stream, Declan. We're watching the fastest driver at the moment. This is Oblivion. He's in P1, 9 seconds ahead of Fez. There's been a bit of a coming together. Oh my gosh, there's been a bit of a coming together. What has happened there? Yellow flags are out, but drivers still continue to push through at speeds. That was a massive incident between at least 4 of the drivers. Luckily, Nate is there to catch the pits, but Azure Go also comes into the pits. I'm wondering if he got caught up in it as well. No, what's Anka doing there? Anka comes into the pits. A lot of the drivers have just come into the pits there. That is something else. It'd be interesting to see what the stewards make of that after the race. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 in the pits at the moment. Oblivion is still out. Blade Wolf manages to push up to P14, so it'll be interesting to see if he pits to then make up or keep the position. Dip is being chased by Suzuka still at the moment. Menos has managed to get away from them a little bit, but Sergo has clearly opened the gap. Got Newbie and Oraz in the pits as well, Electroshocks in the pits. Down in P38 is Telephones. Come on, Telephones, bud. Let's go. Let's see if you can make up a position by the end of the race. Still going strong down in P38. It is all about how you finish here, not necessarily how you start. Ruby has a bit of an off coming into the pits. Luckily, the pit lane was there to catch her. That is a long pit lane to do, as well as to stop and get repairs and tyres. Jinfulf seems to have had a bit of a scuff as well. He's on the bus stop chicane. The pit lane is right there. Right there. More. Oblivion keeps going as well, and so does Fezfox. And Sabre Jinfilf has got a long wait to wait there as Danny comes past, being chased by Caffey and Grim. That's a very quick crossing, but luckily he manages to make it happen. The Sabre Kitsune pits in P6 from the leaders. So we'll see how that's going to work out then. Oblivion is catching up to Oraz, and Fezfox has moved around Azure Go. Azure Go is down in P24 at the moment. Let's see. So anyway, Oblivion moves through to get past Oraz. Oraz runs a little bit wide there. He's not got much breathing space. Fezfox is very much there and a contender in this. He too has got to push past Oraz, and Plasma is in P3. Dat Sergel pits from P14. Sabre is in P13. Sabre's only just got to the box as well, so that's as you can see, it's a very long pit entrance. It's not one that you want to do unless you really have to do it. Oblivion there just giving Slowbird and Snooty, oh sorry, Slowbird the flashing lights there in order to get out of the way. So all Slowbird has to do here is just keep a nice wide line and remain predictable for Oblivion to get through. They do, but Oblivion squeezes through quite nicely on their way up to Blanchimont. Snooty moves to get past Dolby there. We can see them going head to head with one another. Now Snooty makes it past, and Dolby follows very closely behind as they come up to the bus stop chicane. Sarah pits from P20. Snooty keeps going for now. There's 14 minutes left of the pit window, and Snooty is in contention for position actively with Dolby. None of the leaders have actually pitted yet, so Oblivion is still continuing to go, being chased by Fezfox. Danny has overtaken Plasma, who's now being chased for position by Caffey. We've got Joker and Anchor there in P25 and P26. Slowbird gains a position. They're now up to P22. I'm hoping these new people know that they've got to pit in this pit window, because if not, that could be a catastrophic event for them. And it seems that Electroshocks has received a stop go 30, probably for speeding in the pit lane. That is Electroshocks now down in P37, making his way out of the pits very, very slowly indeed. Ruby Kitsune moves to overtake. That's a dangerous place to pull over at the exit of the pit lane. Very dangerous indeed. Josiah manages to get past just about. We've got Otto there just behind Electro, coming down the Camel Straight. Shortly after that will be Menos, but there's a little bit of time before Menos gets there. Blade Wolf now pits. Steffi's had a bit of an off at the bus stop chicane. She is yet to pit. Randomly pits from P15. Got Blade Wolf there in P13 making his pit stop. Still the leaders have yet to pit. So they push past Dolby there. Fezfox is the next one to get past Dolby. Dolby's 2 seconds ahead currently, so there's a little bit of waiting to do. Oblivion's making his way past Dolby now, and it will then be Snooty McFlude next. Meanwhile, Rene, Randomy and Blade Wolf are now in the pits. Rene up in P18 at the moment. It's a good shout for Rene to take the pit stop now. Hopefully she can hold on to P18 or just a little bit higher. We can see Snooty McFlude though has had his pit stop, so he will be able to move to take positions off some of the people that are sat in the pits currently. Oblivion having to deal with a mountainous amount of traffic now. Fezfox comes into the pits from P2. It'd be interesting to see if Oblivion answers to that or whether or not he keeps on going. Plasma comes in from P5 and answering to Danny in P4. Meanwhile, Sergo has moved up to P17. And he chases Dolby now. Oblivion gets through the two of them and now moves to overtake Snooty McFlude in P15. P16 who's chasing Sabre for P15. It's all going on with these pit stops going on, although that big off with at least 4 cars involved must be the result of that. Suzuka moves up to P6, but they've still got to take their pit stop. Nate is in P24 at the moment after taking his pit stop, so there will be positions for Nate to gain, hopefully. It looks like at the moment Nate is currently going a lot quicker there though, so it'll be interesting to see if Suzuka lets Nate unlap himself. A lot of action going on, just 37 cars remain. Telephones is back out in P36. It's about 45 seconds away from Denak Tiger. Electroshocks is in now, serving the stop goal penalty. Got Sarah back in the pits as well from P29, although that is a unscheduled stop for Sarah. But nevertheless, you've got Otto, Dip, Menos and Skylar all in the pits together. So Plasma's out in P10. Got Otto there who's taken Menos for P11. So the one thing that will determine these pit stops
halfway through, keep pushing,
will be whether or not the pit stop itself goes correctly, and if it's quick, then the cars will be able to get away quicker. But nevertheless, we'll see how it goes. The Dip manages to get out there, followed closely by Sergo, who has overtaken Dip on the Camel Straight. It's unfortunate. And then Dolby moves to overtake Dip for P14. Dolby at P14 at the moment. His next target is Sergo, who's just ahead by a second in the 176 Aston Martin. From what we can see here, no, it's actually Jasper who's up in P6 and yet to actually take a pit stop, but he is P1 for Arm Class at the moment. Suzuka pits from P5, Grim pits from P4, and Oblivion pits now in P3, letting Kathy take the lead now in P1. Josiah now takes P2. Oblivion there by setting. Oblivion currently holds the fastest lap. Seffi is unfortunately with a drive-through, probably for speeding in the pit lane, no doubt. Fez Fox is up to P6 after overtaking Jasper. Jasper now pits. Sabre moves to push through. He's got a lot of breathing spaces. Danny here is about 16 seconds off, but gaining time. No time to slow down though, as Danny's being chased by Plasma. Who else have we got? We've still got Dip and Dolby in a bit of a battle here. They're both in chase of Sergo. Now they're both getting very close to Sergo indeed. But nevertheless, the two of these drivers battling could end up giving Sergo more of a gap. Dip looks to take the outside, but Dolby defends the inside coming into the bus stop chicane. Dip's not going to give that one up easily. We can see here Dip is as close can be. Meanwhile, behind them, Azure and Menos are beginning to go toe-to-toe with one another as they come into the source. It'll be interesting to see what happens for Sergo, though, as 3 cars come very close together up Eau Rouge. Dip closer to Dolby than anything else. There we go, they make it safely up Eau Rouge. Slowburn pits from P28 there, you can see. A lot of racing, a lot of good racing going on there. These two getting closer and closer to one another. Sergo doing his absolute best to defend in P11. The highest of the AM class at the moment. Second place in AM class falls to Jasper then, who will then be chased by Randomy. And then potentially JPEG Fox. JPEG Fox got a couple of positions to make up here. As Fez and Oblivion go at it, the two, what were the two leaders, are now down in P3 and 4. We've got Wolfen with a stop-go 30, Sephi with a drive-through penalty. Oblivion looks at the inside of Fez Fox. They now go side by side, nearly with one another. It's almost side by side as they come into Eau Rouge. Oblivion tucking in neatly. Oh, what happened there? It's automatically made a replay happen. Nevertheless, it will cut back to these two in a minute. But Oblivion is now sat on a yellow flag. Fez Fox gets by to P1, Oblivion comes into the pits, wondering... Oh, no, it didn't. So, Fez Fox gets past there, and Oblivion sits in the pits at P8. I'm wondering if Oblivion got it wrong at Eau Rouge. All the way down to P10 goes Oblivion at the moment as he sits in the pits. It's going to have to be a case of... I imagine that was a return to pits, so Oblivion is going to have to serve tow time, as well as the repair before getting back out on track. Down and down he goes through the grid. Oof, that's not a happy sight to see, but it gives Fez Fox P1 and Sabre trailing a little bit behind in P2. Sabre in a bit will have to negotiate round JPEG Fox, who sits currently in P23. Valiant effort so far from JPEG. Got Anchor there chasing Joker as well as they come through into sector 2 now. I believe that was just the comms they were coming through. So P18 for Anchor at the moment. Nate in P19. Is about 30 seconds off, so Anchor can chase Joker here and know that he's got a little bit of breathing space. A little bit of breathing space before Nate catches up. 20 seconds or roughly off of Nate, or excuse me, 30 seconds is Jasper in P20. The Snowbird there is in the pits now with a stop-go 30. That is a shame. Skylar Vixen in the pits from P32. Ruby Kitsune makes it up to P31 at the moment. Denak pushing past these two to take P32 again. Shox has had a bit of an off as Nate goes shooting past. Luckily Shox has got going again. Sarah's down in P35. A Telephone's still at it in P36. Keep going, bud. The end is 20 minutes in sight. That's a little bit wide there, oh dear. But he keeps it on the pits. And it seems that Oblivion has decided to call it a day there. They won't be coming back out on the track. So Fez Fox has got a clear track in front of him with Ruby to negotiate in a bit. Sabre Kitsune is 10 seconds off the pace of Fez Fox, with Caffey in P3 who's 10 seconds behind him, and Danny who's still chasing. There's another big off somewhere. What on earth happened there? And Sergo has had a massive off just after Eau Rouge. Did that catch a lot of people there? Hold on. There's a yellow flag for quite a few of the drivers. It seems like these this lot have got through okay, so they continue on then. Let's see a little bit further down the grid, we've got Seffi who's being chased by Wolfin for P26. Wolfin is very much closing the gap. Seffi moves to defend the position. We've got a yellow flag up ahead there. That's Skylar Vixen who's gone off, unfortunately. That's a shame to see, but nevertheless Seffi holds on to the position. Although Dip and Dolby are looking to get past Wolfin, that's not going to be fun for them. These two are battling for position. Wolfin getting a little bit in the way of these two. It now looks like Dolby's being a little bit cautious of getting past Wolfin, but all the time that Dolby spent thinking about this, Dip is just running away from him. Wolfin has got to get out of the way at some point. Is it going to be into the bus stop chicane? That is just about okay. It allows Dolby to get back through, but Dip has now moved to overtake Seffi. Oh no, excuse me, it's Seffi's job to let these two cars by. So Dolby's the next one to go by, and she's being chased by Wolfin. That's a little bit close for comfort coming through La Source. It's allowed Wolfin to close up the gap a little bit. Needless to say though, everybody made it through cleanly, so thank gosh for that. There are still cars intact here as Seffi goes up through Eau Rouge. That's a little bit of a cut through Eau Rouge. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out later in the race. There's another yellow flag on track. Skylar Vixen has just about got the car going again.
Pit window is now closed.
And she comes in just as the pit window closes, but luckily every car on the grid now has served their pit window validation. So Skylar limping the 660 Honda into that long walk in the pit lane. We've also got Sergo, Suzuka and Electroshocks in the pit lane as well. Be interesting to see what they're doing. The pit window has closed. I'm not sure what's going to go on with these four drivers, whether or not Skylar comes back out. Telephones has had a bit of an off on the bus stop chicane. That's a shame for him to see. Can he get the car going again? He does get the Audi going again. It's all about now rejoining safely. Picking the right moment. Got Denak coming through in P31. P3 and 4 and P23 coming through all together as well. The Audi looks like it's struggling there. What's going on, Telephones? What are you doing, bud? Oh, he needs to take a bit of a left before he makes it out onto the track, but hopefully he makes it out onto the track. Meanwhile, at the same time, whilst he's parked there, there'll be yellow flags waving, so these drivers, as well as chasing one another, will be being naturally cautious with one another because of this yellow flag situation. Telephone seems to have got his compass out and found his way. Maybe? Has he found his way? Maybe he'll get the sat-nav out as well and be on the way. He's certainly thinking about it. There we go, he releases the brakes and the Audi comes back onto the bus stop chicane and on to the start-finish straight now. P35 is Telephones as he gets the Audi going again. Great job from Telephones, the number 31 Audi. So no one in the pits at the moment then, apart from Suzuka and Sergo. But it looks like Sergo is moving to now come out the pits. He now sits in P25. Oraz moves to overtake from P26 up Eau Rouge. Oraz goes there. A little bit wide for Oraz. Telephones gets past as well. No, he doesn't. Sorry, that was Anchor in P16 that gets past. And Suzuka Shark gets going again. Suzuka Shark in P28. And Electroshocks unfortunately hasn't got the car going again in P36. There's 17 minutes left of this race. Skylar is back out on P34. What's happened there? That's a very wrong place to be at on the comms. Someone should probably tell him he's not facing the right way. But the important thing is here is that you don't drive the wrong way for a long time. Otherwise, you'll get disqualified. And there we go again, through the comms. Goes telephones. He's got a bit of breathing space though. He's got a car 12 seconds behind and a car 7 seconds ahead. So he's certainly got time to breathe. I'm wondering if his confidence has been knocked a little bit because of that. It's a shame to see it, but at the same time, we have still got telephones on the grid pushing to the end. Let's hope that he makes it to the end. Meanwhile, back up the top of the grid, where's Fez Fox? Has anybody seen Fez Fox? Saber, have you seen Fez Fox? Nobody's seen Fez Fox because Fez Fox is 9 seconds out from the rest of the grid. And I wouldn't blame him if he turned his engine down to save fuel either. But here we go, Fez Fox in P1 then, after being P2 to Oblivion for quite a long time. Nevertheless though, he is on his way round. He'll catch up to Randomy in P19 in a bit, but at the same time that will be quite a lot of traffic then that Fez Fox will have to negotiate. But then again, being in P1, every car that you catch up to, apart from the one behind you, is traffic. So, nevertheless, Fez Fox holds P1. 8 seconds or 9 seconds behind him is Saber. And 12 seconds behind Saber is Cafe in P3 in the Porsche. 7 seconds behind them is Danny in the P4 Aston Martin, the number 44 Aston Martin. It looks like it's been a relatively clean race for Danny. And then you've got Plasma and Grim who are beginning to go at it. The two Porsches beginning to battle. There we can see Grim is slowly but surely sneaking up on Plasma for P5, but there is still a second between them at the moment. Studio McFluid will be overtaking Geeg in a minute. However, Otto and Josiah are now going toe to toe as they come into Sector 3 of Spa. Josiah seems to have had a relatively clean race holding P9. That is good for him. If you remember as well, we saw Josiah in a more colourful Mercedes actually than what he's in currently. But needless to say, that is a very vibrant pink on Josiah's car. Very good looking pink indeed. Oh, a little bit of a move, nearly. Bit of a bump coming out of bus stop. Otto runs wide coming out of bus stop. But Otto still holds on to the position as they head up for the source. Can Josiah move to take the inside? No, it's not going to happen this time round. Otto covers the inside very well indeed as the two of them make their way up to Eau Rouge. And there's Geek just in front of them there being blue flagged. Coming up Eau Rouge, he'd be mad to pull over there. These two coming round Kemmel onto the Kemmel straight. Josiah is on the left of Otto. That Mercedes ever so slightly gaining a speed advantage. They come into Le Com. Josiah looks to take the inside and he makes the move on Otto, taking the inside around Le Com. Very cleanly done indeed. Beautiful overtake from Josiah Wuski, and now moves up into P8 as Otto now gives chase. They move to get past Geeks. Geeks staying nice and wide there to let these two battling cars through, but it is Josiah that begins to open up the gap in their Mercedes-Benz. We'll certainly keep an eye on these two in the last minutes of the race. Slightly further back on the grid, battling for P11 is Azure Goat and Dolby. Dolby in P12 in the McLaren 650 going up against the 720 to see what it can do. A big slide from Dolby there as he heads off the track. Luckily there's enough runoff there to stop Dolby from having an actual crash. He's got to get back on the track soon. Menos has made the position. Anker's going to be the next one, although at the same time Anker and Blade Wolf are getting closer and closer to one another. Joker and Nate. Nope. What am I seeing there? Oh, that's, excuse me, that's Sergo and Sefi who are getting closer and closer to having a bit of a battle there. Sefi looks like she's taken a bit of a donk on the hood of the Aston. Hood of the Aston? I mean bonnet. Let's face it, I mean bonnet of the Aston Martin, but actually it's not, it's just a paint job. So she's now defending against Sergo in the 176 Ferrari. Sergo looks to go on the inside as they come through Blanchimont. That's a long circuit to take there for Sergo. Joker at the same time is looking to get past. Sefi goes wide as they come up to the bus stop chicane, but joins just in time to catch the braking point for bus stop. So for now, Sefi holds on to the position. These two are going to have to move over at some point for Joker to get past. Because at the time that Joker is looking to get past these two drivers, Blade Wolf is just getting away. And there goes Sergo looking for the inside at the source. It just about happens. The two of them come side by side. And it's Sergo that's got a nose in front. Sefi tucks in behind Sergo, excuse me, coming up to Eau Rouge. Joker at the same time is still looking to make it past these two. Joker running extremely wide coming out of Eau Rouge. He gets past Sefi. The next one to get past now is going to be Sergo, who comes down to take on Lacombs. I can definitely safely say Joker's been quite patient. And there we go, Joker gets through. Skylar in P34, she continues going. Telephones, unfortunately, again visits the runoff of the bus stop chicane. Poor lads. Let's keep going, Telephones. There's 10 minutes left of the racing. Jasper Envy is also at an off coming up Eau Rouge. Eau Rouge claiming another victim. And look at the damage on that car. That is an awful looking Ferrari. Fez Fox comes past there in P1. Jasper comes back to the pits. That's probably it for Jasper. Fez Fox is in P1 there. And Saber Kitsune is 9 seconds off with a really clean car, pretty much. In P2. Next person he has to get past is Randomy, who's holding on to P18 and seems to be in a bit of a race of his own. Meanwhile, looking at P21, a brand new national driver. First race with Simufur. P21 is Renee Ott. And she's following Josiah Wesky to get a bit of a slipstream. And the next person she's got to worry about is 6 seconds behind. Is 6 seconds behind. One moment. Oh, right. Sorry about that, streamers. Anyway, back to the racing, excuse me. Renee is up in P20 then. Up in P20. Next position is P21, however, Geeg is now 20 seconds off, it seems. So Renee's got a lot of breathing space. Next person ahead of her in 14 seconds time is JPEG Fox, who holds P19. Excuse me. Nate in P17 hasn't got much to worry about at this point. Next car is 24 seconds ahead of him. And then you've got Randomy in P18, who's 38 seconds behind Nate. 6 minutes left of the race, and all Nate has to do is hold on. And that is unfortunate to see. Renee, oh dear, completely, oh no, oh, don't reverse. Oh, Renee loses at a bus stop, and a lot of the drivers have a brown trouser moment as they come through that final turn. You can see it's quite a blind corner, the bus stop chicane. Renee all the way down, only down to P21 at the moment, reversing on track. That's a bit of a no. She gets the car going again. Oraz, can she defend from Oraz now, who's ever so slightly lucky to have caught up that much time? Nevertheless, and that was a clip, sending Renee into the wall of La Source. Joker patiently makes it round. I'm not sure if Renee is aware that Joker is actually trying to get past her and not fighting her position. Nevertheless, though, she's going to go very closely up Eau Rouge with him, being chased close behind by Oraz as well. Then Oraz moves to take the overtake on the Kemmel Straight, and he gets it as the two of them make their way up to the source. So there we go then, Oraz gets past Renee in La Source. Renee down to P22 now. Sergo now moves to take P22 from Renee. And it's such a shame, Renee had such a gap going on in P20, and now she's facing the likes of Sergo, defending very closely off Sergo, but Sergo just about makes it through, pushing Renee down to P23. 4 minutes left of the race. Renee just needs to hold on though. P23 is still a good position to be in. Next car off of her is Seffi in P24. And she'll be running away currently from Wolford in P25. Oh, that's a shame. Anchor has had a bit of an off in sector 2 there. I have a feeling he probably ran a little bit wide, caught a curb, and then just sent the rest of the BMW round. It's given Nate a bit of a chance though. Nate is 16 seconds behind Anchor and now closing. We'll see if Anchor can get back up to speed and just hold on to that position. There's 4 minutes left of the race. Telephones has got himself going again. He's going to have to move over pretty shortly for Cafe in P3 here. The blue flags are waving. He does pull over. It's a little bit of a tight gap to have there, but nevertheless, it got done. P3 got through nice and safe, and the two of them carry on. Skylar Vixen is pushing to the end in P34 here. I'm glad we still see her on the track in car number 660. Through the comms she goes in the Honda. A bit of a slide there. Nevertheless, she lets Dip and Azure go through. It's a good catch coming through the comms there. Sarah up in P29 has just taken over Jinfulf. Fantastic move by Sarah. She's now pushing up behind Geek, but she is also being chased by Dolby, so she will have to move over at some point as Dolby looks to push through and continue his chase on Menos. And there we go then, Dolby makes it safely past Sarah. Two and a half minutes left of this race. Fez Fox is still out ahead. And catching up to Taylor Colley in P27 at the moment. And you've got Slowbird continuing on there in P33. It's a good thing to see. Excuse me 1 minute, folks. Fez Fox catching up to Taylor there in the 94. Taylor holding on to very well earned P27. There's another yellow on the track. Is that telephones again? Oh, poor lad. The Yellow Rouge claims another victim coming through Kemmel onto the Kemmel Straight. There's a minute and a half left of the race, and unfortunately that is telephones done. It's a shame to see it, a minute and a half to go. Nevertheless though, Fez Fox has made it cleanly past Taylor. Taylor in P27 there. Dip has got past Azure. JPEX Fox has had a bit of an off. Oh, and what a bit of an off it was as well. That was... he's certainly taking a clout coming through Lacombe. Skylar Vixen managing to unlap herself there. There's 45 seconds left of the race.
Alright man, the leader is on the final lap. Give it a final push.
So Fez Fox starts the final lap. Grim and Snooty go toe to toe with one another as they come past Denak, who just about gets out of the way, making room for Josiah as well, who's hopefully looking to get back into this battle. We see Grim there taking a bit of a sneak round the inside of Snooty as they come up to Blanchimont, although the BMW will probably have a bit more of a speed advantage over the Porsche, but the Porsche will gain it back again in the corners if he can just stay close enough to Snooty. So Snooty makes it cleanly into bus stop, Grim makes it cleanly into bus stop, and Josiah manages to close up the gap. Denak follows there in P29. And it seems that Dolby has had a bit of an off there, unfortunately. Blade Wolf and Dolby. Blade Wolf goes all the way around the outside of Dolby. It was a brave move to make to get round the outside, but Blade Wolf has kept it clean. Joker's now 4 seconds and closing on Dolby. Dolby going to have to hope here that at some point Fez Fox crosses the line. It's been a very quiet race for Fez so far, this last half of the race anyway. But here we go, Fez Fox starts on the final sector of this 1 hour Simufur GT3 Season 3 opener. Through Blanchimont comes Fez now, and the final part of the lap up to the bus stop chicane. A very clean lap held, a very clean race held as well for Fez Fox. Through the bus stop chicane he goes, and here you are, the now pro leader for Simufur GT3 goes to Fez Fox. Followed closely behind there is Saber Kitsune. Caffey is in P3 at the moment, and here he comes through, oh, closely, but through the bus stop chicane to take P3. Very well earned from Caffey. Danny is in P24 and going through bus stop now. Very good race for Danny to come in at P4. 40 cars enter the grid. And that's Danny. P5 comes Plasma, all on his own there in the number 12 Porsche. P6 after holding off Grim and Josiah comes Studio McFlude. Grim just gets in over Josiah. That was a very, very good race from Josiah. Denak Tig comes in to take P28. Otto finishes in P9. Dip is there, just finishes ahead of Azure Goat in P10. And Azure Goat is clearly done there in P11. P12 is Menos. Here he comes through the bus stop chicane. followed by Skylar Vixen, who finishes in P33. Next up is Joker, who makes it up to P13, and Blade Wolf, who follows in P14. Dolby and Anka go side to side, nose to nose, as Anka just, oh no, it's Dolby that gets given the P15 position. Oh, how frustrating for Anka, but a good effort nonetheless. Nate is there, he holds on to P17. Randomly has already finished in P18, Oraz finishes in P19, Sergo holds off to P20, making Randomly P1 in AM class at the moment. And there you have it, folks. P18 is Gig, 19 is JPEG Fox, what a battered car, poor lad. P20 is Suzuka Shark. P21 is Rene, her first race there, and she finishes in P21, an excellent effort. Look how scuffed that Lamborghini is. Wolfen takes P22, Seffi brings it home in P23, Taylor finishes in P24, Denak takes home P25, Ruby, first ever race for Ruby, she takes home P26, Sarah takes home P27, and Skylar makes it back up to P28 in the end. That could be because people were leaving. Nevertheless, last of the finishers is Telephones, but needless to say, he finished all the same. and that brings the opening session of Simufur GT3 Season 4 to an end. And what a battle it was for all cars involved through all classes of the grid. Thank you very much for tuning in to this first ever main GT3 season live. This is the first ever live broadcast we've done of our main series after having 3 of them previously. And next up, I believe, is Kyalami next week. So look forward to seeing you all then. Thank you very much for watching, for those of you that stuck with it from practice all the way through to the end of the race now. And we'll see you next week. Thank you very much, and good night. From practice all the way through to the end of the race now.